Paige and welcome to For the Love of Baking. Today, I'm going to make my first video and show you how to make a cherry pie. Cherries are in season right now, so I'm going to be using fresh cherries and making a fresh pie crust to go with it. Stick around. For the pie crust, you will need 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, 3/4 cups of Crisco or vegetable shortening, and 5 tablespoons of water. First, add the 2 cups of flour and a teaspoon of salt into a large bowl. And mix with a whisk. Next, add in the vegetable shortening. Cut the shortening in using a pastry blender or 2 knives crisscrossed. Personally, I like to use the whisk. It does the same thing as the pastry blender. You will know this is done when the chunks are all pea-sized. Next, we will add the 5 tablespoons of water, 1 tablespoon at a time, and mix it with a fork. This should be your final consistency. Since we are making 2 crusts, form this into a ball and divide this in half. The 2 balls should be equal size. Next, we are going to start making it into the shape of a pie crust. First, we will flatten this into a pancake, and then we will grab a rolling pin and roll this out so it's a little bit bigger than the pie pan. Okay, so this next part is a little bit hard to see, so I'm going to try and show you as much as possible because I can't keep my hand on the camera at all times. So this is what the ball looks like. It's half the crust, as we talked about before. And then we're going to flatten it into a pancake like this. So it looks like this. And then we're going to put it down on a floured countertop. As you can see, flour. And we're going to flatten it out more. And then we're going to take the rolling pin and roll it out. And you want it to be a little bit bigger, about 1 inch bigger than your pie crust. So we're going to go ahead and try and do that. And you want to start from the middle and roll out. You never want to start from one edge, because that can rip the pie crust. You want to try and do it evenly so you get a nice circle. How it's looking so far. It still needs to get bigger. So that's what it looks like right now. So I'm going to keep rolling. And we're going to have to do the same thing with the other crust. For the pie filling, you will need 1 cup of sugar, a 1/3 cup of flour, 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, 1/8 of a teaspoon of cinnamon, 3½ cups of tart cherries. These are fresh, you can also use frozen, 1/4 of a teaspoon of vanilla, and 1½ teaspoons of butter melted. Heat our oven to 425 degrees. Now we will add the sugar, the flour, the salt, the cinnamon, the vanilla, and the cherries together and mix. The final project should look like this. Next we are going to spoon this mixture into our pie crust. The last thing we do before putting the top crust on is drizzling butter, the melted butter, over the top. So we have the whole second crust rolled out. Putting this one on top of the pie is the hardest thing to do because you have to get it on there without it folding or breaking. So what I'm going to do is I'm just loosening the pie crust from the counter and I'm going to quickly flip it onto the pan. Okay, so I have the top pie crust on, and all I did is I went around and pinched it to the bottom crust because I'm not going to do anything fancy. All I'm going to do is run a fork along the side. So what you'll do is you'll take some water that is cold and you'll dip a fork in there and you'll just do that. All the way around. Okay, so all the way around the crust has been pressed with the fork, and the last step is to cut slits, and I always do 3 slits right in the middle because I just find that's a classic pie. And these slits allow for steam to escape from the pie while it's cooking in the oven. So there we go, and we're going to pop this into the oven for 40 to 45 minutes, and I will see you afterwards.